My name is Phong Kuoch, and I did the session on what's so funny about Chris Rock and Margaret Cho. And we looked at humor and race, culture and identity, and social change.
What got you interested in that sort of angle on media education?
I guess when I was growing up, I really knew what being different was all about. And I remember that a lot of jokes were directed my way in regards to my differences. And I've always been curious about why those jokes play out the way they do. And then when I became a teacher, I realized that those type of jokes were still being circulated by my students. So I wanted to really get to figure out why and how these jokes work. For the workshop, I used two clips of very popular comedians in the media. One, Chris Rock, so all the kids love Chris Rock, and behind his persona and behind his craziness and his profanity, he's actually saying something pretty profound, and I think that he makes people think in different ways, and that accessibility then allows the students to, first of all, be interested in what he has to say, and then be using him sort of as a vehicle for allowing sort of a platform for them to deconstruct and be critical about the issues.
So how do you do that? I'm curious. Like, what does it look like in your classroom? Like, how do you break that down into teenagers?
Okay, well, how to do it with teenagers? First of all, I tied in with the literature first that we're reading. So, for example, with the English 12 classes, we'll look at the novel of Mice and Men, and before they can understand how race issues are working in the novel, I'll have them make a list of jokes, right? And often they're pretty conservative with their jokes, and then we start pushing it to the next level where I say, okay, now give me some jokes that have to do with race or stereotypes. And then we make the list, and then we start breaking them down. Then I show them the clips from Chris Rock, and then we start discussing. I mean, what do these jokes mean? Why are they funny? Who are the jokies and who are the jokers? Those are the big questions. I mean, I find that the connection is that it's a slice of reality in many ways. So we're slicing reality from the world that they're living in, the relevancy of their world, and being able to incorporate that slice into, in many ways, the artificialness of what schooling is about. So that connection of bridging of what they are experiencing in their real, and I put that in quotation marks, their real world compared to the non-real world of the school. How do we find reality? Help to expand those definitions of realities in both of those worlds. So, and humor is a great way for doing that for me, because generally I find humor as a way to create a more cohesive classroom. At that level is very effective, and that in order for one to be able to participate in humor, in the type of humor that I'm interested in, there has to be a sense of confidence about who you are, and a knowledge of the world that you live in, and being able to play with those conventions and having those critical skills, because I think the best comedians are the ones who really have a great sense of what's happening in this world, understanding how power structures work, but not being. But what's great about these humorists is the fact that they don't preach, right? They come from a place where they take something that's really, really absurd, and they really exaggerate the absurdity of it in order for us to be able to understand it, and then hopefully inspire some kind of change. So the people like, the Simpsons were very revolutionary in doing that, and on some level, Family Guy is also part of that. I mean, there are many layers within Family Guy, and there's a lot of controversy around that, but certainly I wouldn't say that's just exclusively dumb humor either, right? So,
the fine line between people watching it and getting an alternative reading, or getting it what they're literally saying, versus Family Guy or Colbert. You've got to, for satire, you've got to sort of know about the world, how the world works, and I guess that's part of what you're discussing in the class.
Exactly, and then being able to understand that, having strong foundations about what's going on in our world, I think is very important for understanding that joke, and I guess part of the education here is to understand that in order to acquire whatever social capital or corporate capital, being a part of the dominant culture and understanding how it works, and to rise above that position of being oppressed, is understanding not to want to be the butt of the joke, and then just understand what that concept of being the butt of the joke is all about, whether you're rising above from that, or also trying to avoid doing that to others.